let's start with the session for today. So today's session basically is going to be an introduction of Azure, of AI services on Azure. Right. So we are going to understand different services that are there. Of course, it's just an overview session. We are not going to go in much depth and understand services and the tools that you can use. So of course, I will tell you all as the next step when if you want to go inside the Azure journey and adopt AI, use AI, how you can do that. Okay, so we will definitely be exploring all of that. Just a second. Okay, so we all know, right? Artificial intelligence is nothing but now um it's see we are let's say I don't want to involve the human a lot. Let's say I want to put a system in place of a human. Let's take an example. Okay, let's say somebody goes to the bank and has applied for a loan. So now if somebody has to get a loan, we all know there are certain factors that come into picture in approving or getting a loan, like the bank manager or the person who is going to is going to give you the loan, right? Is going to basically see what is your income, do you have a property in against your name, right? Do you have a lot of assets or something like that against your name? Is there a co-income? Is there a co-applicant along with you who is there, right? Who is going to basically based on certain factors, you get that loan. Now, who's deciding that? It's a human. And we know getting a loan is not that easy, right? Because all these factors have to be considered and then you will get a loan. Now, let's say instead of a human, I replace it with a system. I want to reduce the task on the human and let the system decide, okay, that whether this person should get a loan or not, whether today it will rain or not. I want to analyze that. I want to see, predict whether it will rain, how much will it rain, what is the temperature. What will be the temperature tomorrow? Will it be cloudy? Will it be XYZ, whatever? What is the stock prices? Today, if the stock prices are this much, tomorrow, what will be the possibility of the stock prices, right? Just a second. Yeah. So that is what basically AI does. So what is AI? AI is nothing but something that represents a statistical, something that represents a real world scenario, like getting a loan or not, predicting whether it will rain or not, predicting who will win, predicting what will be the stock prices. And how is it predicting? It is doing that by inferring the data, by making out from the data what it should be. Should the loan be given? Will it rain today, etc.? So that is what exactly is AI. Is basically mimicking our human brain. Okay, and however the human brain works, functions, let's put it to a system, to a computer. And that is what is exactly artificial intelligence. Okay, so artificial intelligence is nothing but something that represents a real world scenario. Okay, to put it into simple words, mimics the human brain, right? Mimics the human brain. So that is what is AI. And when we use AI, okay, when we work with AI, there are two purposes that it solves. Okay, there are two purposes that AI is basically used for. So what is the first purpose? It is used to infer. Okay, it is used for inference or infer the data, understand the data. Okay, that is the first purpose of the AI. And the second purpose of AI is to predict, is for prediction. Like I said, to predict the stock prices, to predict whether it will rain or not, predict what will be the temperature today, tomorrow, right? Predict whether a team will win this match or not, right? All of this is nothing but AI. So AI, what it is, it represents a real world scenario, mimics the human brain. And in doing that, it solves two purposes. One is inferring the data. Now, let's take the same example of a person, whether should get a loan or not. So when a person gets a loan, what are we do, based on what are we doing the prediction? It is based on the data. We are inferring from the data itself that we have to predict the outcome, right? To predict, to come to a conclusion that, okay, this person should get a loan or should not get a loan. So that is what exactly AI does. Now, when AI has to do this, has to solve two purposes over here, that is to infer the data and as well as predict the outcome. What does it do? It will need some help. Okay, it cannot just do it on its own. It's a system. After all, we need to build that system. So what is that system called as? It is nothing but called as an AI model. Okay, so when we talk about generative AI or JAT or GPT, or we talk about computer vision, or we talk about audio, video, all those model, or converting the text to audio, or translations, document and analysis. Okay, all of this, even agentic AI or everything, all of this, okay, has a model that helps us to do the inference and the prediction. So what is a model basically? A model is nothing but a statistical representation of the real world scenario. Okay, that is what is basically an AI model. So when I say, okay, I want to predict and infer from the data, I want to see whether a person should get a loan or not. So how is that done? Okay, that is done by this model. We will tell the model, okay, this is the data, this is what you're supposed to predict. So now this AI model that we have, okay, it is going to use some mathematics or statistics to predict and infer the data. Because see, we also, like as humans also, when we are doing the prediction and everything or inferring, we are also using some sort of statistics or mathematics to predict, right? Whether that person should get a loan or not, and etc. So in a way, that is also a prediction. Sorry, it's some sort of mathematics only that we are using. Okay. So over here, that is what exactly an AI model will also do. Okay. That is what also an AI model. So whenever you want to work with AI, okay. So that AI that is there, it's going to help, it's going to derive, it's going to predict the outcome using this model. Now, why statistical? Now, okay, see, when you are working with AI, with the AI model, so to the AI model, you need to give some data, right? You need to give some data to AI model because it has to infer, it has to predict based on something, right? So over here, let's say I want to give some data. Now, how do you give the data to this model? So always remember, when you give the data to the AI model, the data should have rows and columns. Okay, the data should have rows and columns. Now, what are the columns that you need to give over here? So there are two types of columns that you can have in your data. Okay, there can be two types of columns in your data. Now let's consider an example for this. Okay, so here, let's say all of you all are coming from, let's take another example this time. Let's say I want to predict, okay, what will be, I'll just come to your doubt later, Mike. Okay, I will just solve it later because I'll have to open the link and everything. So I'll come to that later. I cannot speak right now, but whenever the time permits, I will definitely answer your question. Okay, about the opportunities and everything. So I'll have to just see what this thing is. Then I'll definitely come to that. So over here, when you're giving the data, okay, there are columns that you have to give, right? So here, let's take an example. Let's say I want to predict the price of a house. Okay, I want to predict the price of a house. So let's say you're a real estate agent or something like that, and you have to predict the price of the house. So now if I have to predict I need some data from which I need to infer and come to a conclusion that, okay, this should be the price, that should be the price, etc. So let's say we are giving some data which has rows and columns. Okay, so let's say one of my columns here, because we are trying to predict. Okay, Shubh, can you confirm whether you am audible or not? Or anyone else, please, can you confirm whether I'm audible or not? Okay, so Binoy, please just check your internet connection, probably leave the session and come back because everyone is able to hear. Okay, so you can just rejoin the session. Yeah, so over here, now when we are trying to predict the price of the house, so there are certain factors that we do consider when we are doing the prediction, right? So what are the factors? So the first fact, let's say we have the square feet, okay, of the house, because we based on that also, like, people come to a decision, okay, this should be the price and everything. There's a per rate, per square feet rate, right, based on which it is calculated. Then also another factor that contributes is the city, right? In which city is your house, right? That also matters over here. And then, of course, there are other factors also that come into picture, but I'm just taking these two factors for now. Okay. And then we also, then after this, we sort of predict the price, right? So let's take the price value over here. Now, let's say I have a house which is 100 square feet, okay, which is 100 square feet, and it is this house is in the city of Bangalore. Okay, just taking a random city. You can take any other city you want. It's up to you. And let's say the price of this house, which is 100 square feet in the city of Bangalore, is 1 CR. Okay, it is 1 CR. Let's say I have another house, which is 200 square feet. And this house also belongs to the city of Bangalore. Okay. And let's say the price of this house is also 2 CR. Okay. Let's say this is the price of the house. Let's say I have another house which is 300 square feet. Okay. And it also belongs to the city of Bangalore. Okay. Belongs to the city of Bangalore. And now my job is to predict what will be the price of this house. So yes, guys, can you all let me know what do you think will be the answer of this? Can you tell me what will be the price of the house here? Yes, guys, very quickly in the chat, can you let me know what will be the price of the house? If 100 square feet is 1 CR, if 200 square feet is 2 CR, then 300 square feet in the city of Bangalore, what do you think will be the price? Yes, guys, so this answer is going to be 3 CR, right? It is going to be 3 CR. Why? Because if 100 square feet is 1 CR, 200 is 2, 300 will naturally be 3 CR. Correct? So what did we do here in order to predict the outcome, come to a conclusion that, okay, this is what should be the price of the house. We sort of used mathematics, right? Or statistics to come to a conclusion that, okay, this should be the price of the house, this should be the price, this should how the price be predicted. Correct? Now, if the city changes, the square feet remains the same. So you will sort of collect the data, and based on that, you will infer and then you will predict. And that is what AI does, right? So any AI model that you have, whether it is a Gen AI model or it's a computer vision model or it's a audio model, whichever model we have, okay, they are basically going to use data. They will be given data, and on that data, they will apply some mathematics, some statistics to infer and predict the outcome. Okay, so this is how generally the AI works. Now, over here, when we gave the data, I told you it should have some columns that are there. Now here, the columns, that is square feet and city that we used. What is this column doing here? So over here, these two columns that we have, okay, they are basically called in the these two columns that we have here, okay, these are called as the feature columns in your AI. Okay, these are called as feature columns in AI. Now, what is a feature column? It is nothing but the columns that we use in order to predict the outcome. Okay, so generally, whenever you give the data, the feature columns are always there. Okay, so this is the feature column. So your square feet, city, these are used to infer. Something that is used to predict and infer are called as the feature columns. Okay, but now over here, what are we predicting? What is the outcome? It is the price, or it could be the stock price, it could be the car price, it could be probably coin, the output of a coin toss, right? All of this is nothing but a target, something that we are going to predict, right? Something that we are going to find out. So that is called as a target or a label column. Okay, so in your AI model, when you give the data, okay, that is called as a target or a label. When you have something that you know whether you want to predict or not, okay, what are you supposed to predict or not? Sorry, that is called as a target or a label column. So whenever you give this data, these two things will be there. Now, either the feature columns will be there or both these columns will be there. So when you give the data to the AI model, and let's say both the feature as well as the target, both are there. See, because now when we are building the AI model, okay, we have to prepare the AI model to infer and predict, right? We have to get them ready, like how when you join any enterprise or something, where whether you know that particular tool or not, what does the company do? They invest in training you on that tool, right? Invest in training you, getting so that you get the knowledge of how this works, how that works, right? So similarly, here also, if I have to get the AI model to basically infer and predict, okay, what is it supposed to derive? What is it supposed to predict? Then in that, we follow a process that is called as training. So that is why everyone might have heard, okay, we have to train an AI model, train an AI model. What is that? That is nothing but getting the model to predict and infer. We need to tell how it is supposed to do it. What is it supposed to take? What are the feature columns? What is the target column? We need to tell that, right? And in that, we do something called as training. Okay, like how humans are equipped. Like if I have to tell a bank, I mean, if the bank person is supposed to predict whether that person should get a loan or not, he should have that knowledge, right? Before he comes to a conclusion, he should know what should be taken into consideration and etc. So somebody has to train him, has to tell, okay, this is what you're supposed to look, this is what you're supposed to do, right? So over here, okay, same thing we do to the AI model. Now, this training that we have can be done in two ways. So either in my data, I have both the columns, that is the feature column as well as the target column. Both these things are present in my data, and I'm giving it to the AI model to train and to predict. So such a learning, such a training, such a learning is called as the supervised learning. Okay, it is called as the supervised learning, where both the feature and the target column is present in the data, is available in the data. Okay, so that is what is called as supervised learning. Like it's like how when you go to schools or in colleges, you have a teacher who's guiding you, who is telling you, okay, this is what is there, this is what we are going to learn. If you do this, you will be able to sort of get this will be the result you will see. It is telling you, right? The predictions already being told to you. So it's the same thing with supervised learning also. I'm telling AI model, see, this is the data, this is what you have to infer, and this is what you're supposed to get in the prediction when you're predicting. Okay, so that is what is basically supervised learning. And then we have unsupervised learning, wherein let's say you don't have a teacher. Okay, if you have to clear an exam, you're doing it on your own. You're preparing on your own. You're studying on your own, going online, looking for it, studying by yourself, right? Basically, what over here, you don't know what the target is. You don't know what will be the outcome. You don't know. You're totally unaware about it. So such a learning is called as an unsupervised learning because you don't have your teacher to guide you and tell you, okay, this is how it is. This is what the output is supposed to be. So such a learning is called where only what you have is the feature column, or in the data, the only thing that you have is the feature column. Only feature column is present. So such a learning is called as an unsupervised learning. Okay, so this is how the training happens. Either it is supervised, unsupervised. Yes, to come to conclusions again, mathematics will only be used or statistics will be used to use this. So this is what basically is something that is made, AI is made of. Now in AI, when we work, there are different workloads that are there. So see, because data is never just about tables or about numeric data or something like that. It could be images, it could be video, audio, right? It could be anything. So if I want to work with that and I want to use AI, we need to train the model like that. We need to use the models accordingly. And how do we do that? So for that, we have different workloads in AI. Okay, so we understood what is AI, right? Now let's explore the workloads in AI. And in doing that, what are the different responsibilities also that come? See, because there is a very popular dialogue from Spider-Man, right? We all know that dialogue. With great power comes great responsibility. So AI is that big power that we have. And with that power, it can lead to misuse. People can misuse it, which we don't want to, right? So over here, you need to also responsibly use it. You have everything, you have the material with you, but then you can't just use it anyhow. You have to know how to use it, right? Just give me a minute. Yeah, the presentation's loading. Yes. So we understood what is artificial intelligence, right? Something that mimics the human brain, something that basically uses uh, statistics to get the prediction, okay, based on the historical data. So when you give the feature and the target, that is supervised learning and etc. Right? Now, when we talk about the AI, we all know there are different workloads to AI that are there. So workloads are nothing but the data that you want to manage and you want to predict the outcome. Okay. So those are nothing but called as the workload. So now if you want to do traditional AI, okay, you want to basically use your normal data in files, in folders and everything, and you want to do a prediction, right? So such a AI that you can use is called as machine learning. So machine learning basically is the foundation of AI. Okay, everything that you have to get started in AI, you have to start with machine learning. So machine learning is basically nothing but using functions, using statistics to predict the outcome. So it's very basic, very simple. Okay, so when you have very small size of data, okay, and you want to do the prediction, then that is when machine learning will help you. But now this data, like I said, is never only in the form of a file or in the form of a structured manner. We don't just work with structured data nowadays. We have semi-structured data, unstructured data. So in that case also, now let's say I want to analyze and predict the outcome. So machine learning is not capable of doing that. And not just that, it is generally designed for small size. So it can't handle large volume of data. Okay, that is a drawback in machine learning also. So we need to then use some other workload that helps us to manage this. So what is the other workloads? So when we talk about working with images, so here we have a computer vision service. So what does the computer vision service do? It is naturally going to help you deal with that, deal with the images, okay, predict from the images. Let's say you have three images. In one image, you have orange. In the second, you have a banana. And in the third, you have, let's say, mango, right? Now, you have a fourth image that has come, but you don't know what fruit is there inside that fourth image. So what you do, you use computer vision. You tell, okay, you train the computer vision first on the data you have, and then now any new any new image comes, let the computer vision manage it for you. So that is called, so that is nothing but the computer vision service over here. Okay, so here if you want to predict or do analysis with inputs such as photos, videos, okay, like you want to see the CCTV analysis you want to do. So that is when you use the computer vision service. So computer vision service is trained on images, a large number of images. Okay, there also it does supervised, unsupervised sort of learning. You have same thing is followed in all the workloads. It's not that. So it will, of course, not just classify images, but it will detect objects inside the images. Like let's say there are a lot of objects. You have um, let's say you have a man cycling, then in that there is a signal. Okay, all those objects, the computer model will also predict, will basically uh, uh, yeah, will also come to a conclusion for using the computer vision. Okay, so you can, lot of use cases are there, like if you want to CCTV monitoring, if you want to do, okay, if you want to authenticate facial recognition, some of the basic things, okay, you want to, from the photographs, let's say you want to pick out the objects, like I said, name those objects, give tags to them. So all those things you can certainly perform using the computer vision, right? Now, let's say you want to work with speech. Okay, you want to use AI and you want to interact with the speech. Okay, one second, guys. Yeah. So over here, you can use the speech service to do that. So anything that is spoken verbally, like, for example, you are attending some webinar and you're not understanding what the user is speaking and you want to translate it. You want to basically get it into text, or you want to listen it in your language, in your regional language or language that you're comfortable with. Then you can use the speech service over here. Okay, so this will basically listen to what you are speaking and it will transcribe into a text or into another audio, right? So that is what basically is the computer speech or the speech workload in AI. Okay, so where can you use this workload? This can be used whenever you want to uh, respond, whenever you have a spoken input, okay, like a video that you are watching and you want it to be converted to your language or respond to you, okay, in a spoken manner. Somebody has, when you are speaking, let's say the result you want is that that person also speaks to you rather than typing or anything, right? That is why we call. So same thing this computer speech will do. Or you want to do transcriptions of your meetings, of your calls that have happened, okay, and also automate the audio descriptions, videos and bring it to text. And also, like I told you, translate. So that is what the speech service will basically do here, right? Then the next service that you can use is to work with text, right? to work with text. Now, let's say you want to, you have somebody who's written a feedback online. Okay, you work in a hotel and you run a hotel, and you want to see whether that feedback is a positive feedback or a negative feedback. So over here, you can use the AI to do that job for you. Let AI use its intelligence. Of course, you have to train that AI to predict that sort of outcome. So that model that you use is called as the natural language processing model. So what this will do, this will basically work only with your text, will only analyze the data on text. Now, analysis can be done for, like I said, you want to know the feedback, whether it is a positive feedback or it is a negative feedback. Okay, so over here, you can, okay, you can definitely use, okay, so here you can definitely use the NLP model to predict, okay, whether whether the feedback is a positive feedback, negative feedback, is it neutral? What is it? Okay, so you can certainly do that over here. So you can also summarize. Now, let's say you have a big text that is being given and you want to come to a summarize, you want to summarize. What is this? You don't have the time to read the entire text, entire essay. You want a summary of that. So let AI bring that summary to you. Let it derive it for you, right? So you can use the NLP model for that. You can also derive keywords you can extract from this. Okay, all those things you can certainly do using this NLP model. You can do language detection. Let's say somebody has written it in French, but you want to detect what language is that. You don't know what language it is being written in, then you can definitely use the NLP. So analyzing documents, transcripts, okay, detecting the language, okay, all those things you can use. Or if you want to create your own chatbots, right? When we go to a website, okay, let's say you want some help from that particular website. You're not able to understand what is going on. So we know on the right hand side corner, there's this chat box that comes, right? So you can use that chat box, okay, and you can certainly, what we say, you can ask questions directly to them, right? So that is nothing but the NLP model over here. Now, just a second, everyone. So now another model which nowadays is very popular, or which is one of the workloads of AI also. So it's a part of AI only. Is called as the generative AI model, or the LLMs that we call. So if you want now, because see, the traditional AI that we have, okay, doesn't have the capability to generate anything. From the given data, yes, it can basically predict, or it can detect or infer, like I said, but it doesn't have the capability to generate anything. It fails at that. Okay. So over here, okay, if I want my AI now to generate anything and give me a text, give me an image, something that it generates, then that workload that we use is called as the generative AI or agents. Nowadays, even agents have become popular, right? So what does agents do? So agents' job is basically not just to generate, but also implement your task, right? How we have a flight, like earlier, if I had to book any flights or anything, we would tell an agent to do it for us. What we would tell the agent, okay, this is the day I'm going, this is the time I want the flights, and this is the time when I'm coming back, this is the day, to which city. So the agent will give you options for different flight, for different airlines, and out of that you would select. So that still a human was doing. Now let's say put a system in place of that. So like how your agent works, the same thing that system will do. Will give you options. Okay, these are the flight options, airlines. Okay, the day, the cost, everything, they will get it for you. and you decide, okay, this is the flight you want to take. And not just that, what will they do then? They will also book that flight for you. So that is what is basically agentic AI. Okay, so these are nothing but the workloads. And lastly, now let's say you have lot of data, lot of documents. Okay, you are working in an enterprise, you have a lot of documents that you have. And let's say those documents are stored somewhere in your enterprise, like past projects that you did, okay, or uh, let's say in the government that we have, we know there are so many documents because the population is a lot, so a lot of people will have Aadhaar card or PAN card or something like that. Let's say I want to quickly, okay, access that data. I will just enter some keyword, okay, some way through which I can basically what we say. Okay, let's say I want to basically quickly search from this large document. I want to search your name or that particular value. I want to, or particular document. I want to source from my database or wherever the data is stored. So I need to quickly search for it. Like if I give you an example, like in the legal uh, in the legal domain, okay, there are a lot of case laws. Now, what are those case laws? They are nothing but judgments, arguments that were passed, okay. They were, okay, they were all arguments that were used during that particular case. So let's say a lawyer has got a similar case. So let's say he wants to go back and see what are the case laws related to this case. What were the arguments for? Probably that those arguments can help him, okay, to fight for the current case he has. Okay, so what will the lawyer do? Will just enter a certain word, and whatever related to that word, he gets the document. So if I want to use AI, see, because if I sit as a human to scan all the documents, we know there are so many case laws that will be there, so many documents that will be there. So for as a human, it is naturally not possible to get the result quickly. It will take time, right? It will take time to get that result. So let's say instead of a human sitting, because it it will go search every document, see, there is no easier way for that person to implement it. So what do? We put this workload, which is called as information extraction. So information extraction will, the minute you enter your keyword, will extract that data and will give that document related to that keyword. Okay, so whenever you want to search any document or anything very quickly, this is what the workload will do. And this is, you can use these workloads however you want, whenever you need, right? According to your requirement. Now, like I said, when we are working with AI, you saw the capabilities of AI. It has so many workloads. You can do everything with AI, give it to the system and let the system do it for you, right? So here now, this is something that is very powerful. And we know it can be misused. We are also listening to it nowadays, how badly it is used, right? So many fake calls, so many cyber crimes are happening, correct? So it is our duty to responsibly use AI, right? It is our duty to responsibly use AI. So how do I do that? Okay. How do I do that over here? So there are certain principles that you need to keep in mind whenever you use the responsible AI, whenever you use AI, right? So what are those principles? So there are 6 principles that are involved. So the first principle, because when you're building an AI system, when you're building AI, right? It is something that you have to keep in mind when you're talking about, when you're building it for a human, another human, to cater their problem, their challenges, right? So that is what you have to also keep in mind, that it should be, the entire population should benefit from it. And how do you make sure? That is through this responsible AI, right? Over here, Okay? So over here, we will be looking at those principles. So which is the first principle? It is called as fairness. So what is fairness? So now let's say you have built an AI model. Okay, now this AI model is predicting let's take the same example, that is the loan example. Guys, just give me a second. I'll just sip some water and then we'll continue. Yeah. So let's say I have built an AI system, and the AI system or that AI model is going to predict the outcome, which is whether a person should get a loan or not. Now, when that system is predicting the outcome, let's say one of the factors is the gender. Okay, if it's a male gender, let's say the loan will be immediately approved. But when it's a female who's applying for a loan, let's say it is rejecting. So what is happening over here? It is the model that we have is bias, right? It is a biased model. When a male applies, it is immediately approving it. But when a female is applying, it is rejecting it. So over here, it is not responsible. It is not catering to every human, because females or women are also humans and we are all equal in this society, right? So this model is being biased. So we cannot have a model, see, because gender is not the factor that should be used in order to determine whether a person should get a loan or not. So how do I stop this? How do I ensure my AI model is not doing that? So over here, we need to keep in mind whenever we are building an AI model that our model should be fair, should treat everyone equally, even if it's an handicapped person who's applying for a loan, okay, or it is a female who is applying for a loan, it should be the same. It should not be a criteria to judge whether that person should be getting a loan or not. So such a thing is called as fairness. So first principle is fairness. Then the second principle is reliability and safety. So what does this mean? So now over here, of course, we know our systems have to be reliable, right? We need to take into consideration what could be the possible attacks, right? When the system is trying to respond, now there could be probably, like, we all humans are very smart. We have built this AI, that means we are very smart. So we know different ways we can hack it. But you have to also incorporate that in your AI system also, because it's not just your data that is there. You have the responsibility of all the generic population's data. So you have to protect it. It's a personal information that you're giving. Even when you're going to Instagram, you're looking at reels. So what sort of reels are you looking at? It is sort of using that data, and it is giving, I mean, it will only show those reels that you are based on what you have seen. So that also shouldn't be that it is not protected, right? The data has to be protected, something that is personal. All the possible risks that come with it, AI has to consider. It has to be ready with those things. And who makes sure that you are ready? It is the reliability and safety that is there. So your systems should behave as expected. It shouldn't be that, okay, you're predicting the loan, but something else is happening. Okay, something else it is doing for you. No, it has to consider, take into account every possible risk that can affect your system. Okay, so that is the second principle. Then the third principle is privacy and security. Of course, you have to protect your data, protect the identity, because you're using data only to train that AI model. Some historical data you are using. So as AI developers, you have to know how the data should be kept protected. Correct? So that is what is basically the third principle that you have to keep in mind. Then the fourth principle is inclusiveness. Now, when you're building an AI system, so you have to consider everyone in the system, whether it's an handicapped person, it's a blind person, whatever. every person should be able to use that system, use that AI model. So when you're designing it, it will only be a success when you make sure that everyone is involved, is included in that. And that property, that principle that you have to keep in mind when you're building an AI system is called as inclusiveness, right? Then the the fifth property or the fifth principle that we have when we are building an AI system is transparency. Okay. See, we know when AI is there, it is sort of working in magic. I mean, it's a magic, right? That is happening. It seems like magic, of course, but at what cost is this magic happening? This particular system is working. This you have to make aware to the user. You have to tell that, okay, when you're doing this, this could be the possible limitations. This is how the AI model is working. This is how the recommended system is working and coming to recommendations for you. You have to be as transparent as possible. You have to make your users aware how the system works, what are the limitations, and how the magic is happening. You have to tell them. And this is what is basically transparency over here. So when you're building an AI system, you have to be as transparent as possible. And lastly is accountability. Now, if anything happens to your AI system, you've developed it, you have made it available to people, and it is not following these principles, it is attacked, it is something has happened. Okay. So here somebody has to take an accountability, see, because an external user will be using your model. Though you've come up with this model, you're making their lives easy. But what if something happens? Who's going to be accountable for that? Who's going to take the responsibility and say, okay, this is this thing. We should have considered this. Who's going to make sure that the governance is applied? Make sure the regulations are followed in that country. Whatever the data protection standards are there. Who's going to do that? It has to be someone. So somebody has to take that accountability. So that is nothing but the sixth principle here. People, organizations have to be accountable for the AI system. Okay, so this is the responsible AI principles, right? Now what we are going to do, okay, we will of course get this thing on Azure. We are going to see how all of this works on Azure. How are you going to implement this on Azure? And you will also do some of the demos also that I will be showing you all. But okay, so now we understood the fundamentals of AI. Now let's just see how this is applied to the Azure cloud. Okay, so I'm pretty sure everyone is aware about what is Azure. So it's nothing but a cloud platform. It is a public cloud offering of Microsoft, which is called as the Azure cloud. So in Azure, whenever you get started, okay, the things that you require, even when you're working with AI on Azure, you need to have something called as a subscription. Okay, you need to have something called as a subscription. So what is a subscription? It is basically a billing boundary. Okay, it is a billing boundary that you need to, because see, not every service is free, right? We have to pay. It's like your OTT platforms where you have to pay for whatever you are using. So one service is the AI services that is available on Azure. So all the workloads that we spoke about, all of them are available as services on the Azure cloud. So if you have to use them, the first thing you need is, of course, you have to be a tenant and all those things that is there, right? But also you need a subscription, because if you don't have the subscription, you will not be able to pay for the services, right? And once you have the subscription, you need to know how to work with a resource group. So what is a resource group? A resource group is nothing but like a container. So all the work that you are doing, you can save it in this container. Whether you want to use Azure AI services or you want to use a VM, you want to use a database on the Azure cloud, anything you can do, but you have to have, first of all, a subscription, and you should have created a resource group. Okay, so for AI, when you're working, or then if you go for advanced certifications also, right? Or in terms of going in depth of the services and etc., you still need to know the fundamentals of Azure. That's like the prerequisite of any course you work on Azure. You have to know what is a subscription, what is a resource group, because without that, you will never be able to start using those services. Okay, so that is the fundamental over here that you should know. So this is the Azure cloud. Now, if I have to use AI on Azure, Microsoft has come up with a new tool, okay, which earlier was not there. This is something that is a recent addition to the Azure cloud, which is called as the Microsoft Foundry. Now, what is exactly Microsoft Foundry? Let's understand. So it is basically a unified platform for everything you want to do on Azure with AI. You want to work with different models, you want to build agents, okay, want to do generative AI, you want to do information extraction, work with vision, work with document, work with language. All those models you will get in one platform now rather than going and creating different services, though you can do that. Okay, you can either use Microsoft Foundry, okay, where everything is available, or you can use the models, the workloads that we discussed and in a standalone manner. Individually also you can work. So you have to decide how you want to use it, whether you want to use the language model separately or you want to use it from in the Microsoft Foundry portal. So everything is there. Okay, you have the Foundry resources. So Foundry resources are nothing but the Azure level infrastructure like compute, storage, okay, all those things. See, because any service, if you are using, they will need, yes, money that is coming from the subscription, but will also require a compute and a storage, physical resources that we say, right? Even on your local machine, when you use any service, whether it's Word, Excel, Teams that we are using here, everything has a, what we say, has a resource attached to it, some memory, some cores, CPUs attached to it. Then only we get the output. Okay, so it's the same thing even in your Foundry. So who's going to keep a track of that? It is the Foundry resources, right? Another thing you have in the Foundry is called as the projects. Now, what is a project? Project is basically like like an independent, isolated workspace for development. So any work you want to do using Foundry, everything. Like I said, you want to work with Gen AI, you want to work with agents. Okay, all those things, if you have to develop in one ecosystem, in one workspace, in one space, then that is called as a project. So in your project, you can work with models. You have all of this in your model, in your workspace. Okay, right? So this is what you can have in the project. Now, whenever you use anything in Foundry, right, the extension you can also have to this, because see, now training an AI model, building an AI model is not something that is very cheap. Okay, it requires a lot of investment, lot of money, lot of time it consumes to train an AI model. Okay, all these enterprises, why only these enterprises would come up with great models like Gemini, or you have Llama, you have even Copilot, you have Chat GPT, so many models you have Claude, right? You have Anthropic models now. Why these enterprises took time? Because first of all, it requires a lot of investment, lot of money, lot of testing is done, lot of years it takes to build these models and make it available to people. Okay, so of course it is cost intensive and all those factors do come into picture. So for a human, like an individual like me or you, it is difficult to create a model from scratch, whether it's an LLM model or an NLP model or computer vision service. It is very difficult for us to build a model from scratch. And not just that, see, if you want to make it available to people, so you have to also look at the scalability part. How can you scale the model? Because you want your business to grow. So how can you scale it up? Add in more users, add in more data, manage the data over here. So that is why it is difficult for individuals to build their own AI models. So what do these enterprises do? They tell you, okay, you can use our models, just have a subscription, just pay for it, and you can use these models. Now, let's say to these models, you want to use a particular model on the Foundry that you have, whether it's a computer service or computer vision, or it's one of the LLMs, right? And let's say you want to build an application using that model, because this model that you're going to use, okay, it is present where? In the cloud. It's not present or available to you locally. It is present in the cloud. So this model that you are using and you're attaching it to your application, there has to be some sort of connection, some sort of gateway that, okay, you are allowing the model to be used for this application, or this model is it's sort of a gateway you're giving between the two. And for that, whenever you use any model in the Foundry service, there are two things that it comes with. What are the two things? The first one is an endpoint. Okay, the first one is called as an endpoint, and second is called as a key. Okay, it is called as Entra ID token, or you can also call it as keys. Okay, it is also called as a key. Now, what are these two things doing? See, like I told you, the model is not present locally with you. It is present where? In the cloud. Now, if my application has to access that model on the cloud, okay, it has to have some gateway. It should have some entry point to access that model, access that service. And who gives that entry point? It is the endpoint and the key. So what does the endpoint indicate? Now let's try and relate this to an Amazon delivery that is going to happen. So let's say you go to Amazon and you purchase a product, right? Now this product that you have ordered from Amazon needs to be delivered to your house, right? Needs to be delivered to your house. So you need to give your address that as to where it is supposed to be delivered. So think of this endpoint as that address. So in your cloud, where is this model lying? If the application has to access that model, the application should know where that model is. And that is what this endpoint does. Okay, that is what this endpoint does. Now, once you have reached the destination, once the delivery guy, okay, from Amazon has reached your house using the address you gave, now you don't trust that person immediately, or rather the person will not trust you with the product he is delivering it to you. So what do they do? They give you an OTP to verify whether the person who is receiving is the same person and not somebody else. So an OTP is sent to something that is personal or private to you, like your mobile phone, right? And once you get that OTP, you give that OTP to the delivery agent, then only he will hand you the product, right? That is how it generally goes about. Same thing. Now, once you've reached your destination, how does the model know it is you? Okay, how does it know, okay, this is a person who's authenticated, is allowed to come and use this model? And that is done through this key. It's like how if you have to enter your house, you need to use the key or some fingerprint, some biometric scan is done. It's the same thing even to access the model on the cloud. So what does this do? These two things ensure that the entry point is valid. It's not somebody who's a is an unknown person who's trying to access. Whoever has this key can enter and use this model. Whoever wants to use this model, you have to give them this endpoint and this key, this entry point to use it. So whether it's your application or any other thing that you're building, you have to ensure, if you're using this model, you have to give them this key. So whenever you build anything on the Azure cloud, or sorry, the Microsoft Foundry service, you have to ensure that you have the endpoint and the key. So now guys, let's go ahead and explore some workloads on the Azure AI cloud. So here what I'm doing, I will give you a link which you can also use. Okay. And we will also see how this works. So this is not basically using the Microsoft Foundry cloud, but we will, sorry, the Foundry service, but I'll also show you how this can be done on the Microsoft Foundry cloud. So here I'm just sharing a link, guys. You can also use this and try out. It's an open source link. Okay, so I'm just putting it in the chat. See whether you're able to use it, and you can also try whatever I'm demonstrating here so that you know how the different workflow that we discussed right now, you can use here. So just see whether you're able to access this or not. And please use this and let's explore this. So I've already opened this on my system. You can also do the same thing. So let's explore one model after the other, right? Let's explore that here. So once you open this link, guys, it will take some time to load the model and everything. Okay. So once it loads, you will see this page. Okay, this browser page you will see here. And then you can go ahead and just explore this. So you can just go ask questions to it, right? So let's explore the first model, which is the generative AI, which is your LLMs, right? So let's explore that here. So let's ask a question. Who was, I would say, okay, I will also post this question in the chat. So in case you all want to write it to this, you can also do it here. So I'll put it here. So guys, you can use this and you can just ask a question like how GPT works, any LLM models work. So we ask a question. Write something called as a prompt. So what is a prompt? A prompt is nothing but an instruction, a question you ask to AI, right? Anything you can ask. It's like a web search that you are doing, right? You can review the answer. Of course, this is some answer the LLM has given us. Okay. So you can use the generative AI and you can ask questions, explore this. Of course, this is the basic one. There are a lot of course, you can extend this. You can use your own LLM models. Okay. So here it is using some fee model. It's the model name is, I think, fee 3.5 or mini. Yeah, fee 3.5 mini. That is the model that is being used here. Okay. So this is the generative AI. You can also ask a follow-up question like how everyone, I'm very sure, knows how to use ChatGPT. You can definitely do that here. So I will ask a follow-up question related to what I see on the screen also. Okay, you can just ask the model here. So this also I will paste in the chat. If you want to try it out, guys, please go ahead, see what you are getting here. Just understand, review the answer. Okay, so this is something that you can use. Then you can also follow it up. You can restart a conversation. So how do I restart a conversation? So over here, can you see we have this icon here? Okay, just click on this icon and you can start with a new conversation with new prompts. You can go ahead and you can write. Okay, so it will clear all the chat that you had and you can just simply ask a new question, enter a new prompt, enter a new instruction that you want to get a response for. So here I will say, tell me about the Eliza chatbot. So let's say you want to get an information, okay, about somebody, something like this. So you can, okay, use this also. So I'll just enter. I'll put it in the chat also for you all to refer if you want to use this. Okay, so you can see what it is giving. You can also ask another question, follow it up. Okay, how ChatGPT works, Copilot works. You can, in natural language, you're able to communicate with AI, right? You're just giving instructions, you're giving a question to it, and in natural language also, it is communicating and generating a text. You can also generate images, audio, video, okay, depending on the model. So here it is using, like I said, a fee 3.5 mini LLM model, large language model. So you have different models to generate different content like audio, video, speech, okay, images, all those things, right? So here you can just ask more questions if you want. Okay, so this is a response you are getting. Now, again, you can also use the next functionality of the AI. Okay, the next workload of AI, which is nothing but the the agentic AI, agents, basically. So let's explore that. So again, I'm going to restart the conversation, right? Just clear everything. And over here, we have this notepad sort of symbol, okay, which shows us about or gives us information, because in a way this is also an agent that we are using. So this gives us the information about what agent is being used. Okay, so if you click on this configuration file, you will see that the model, okay, whatever model is used to generate the text, you can see here. Now this model, now whenever you are using generative AI or agentic AI, okay, it is always better to put the model in the shoes of that person. Like for example, when like I gave you the example of a travel agent, and let's say you want to use agentic AI to do the same thing. So put that agentic AI in the shoes of, like, it is supposed to act as a travel agent. And how do you do that? You do that by changing the instructions. Okay, you do that by changing the instructions here. So instructions basically tell them what sort of behavior are they supposed to use. Okay, what sort of behavior is the agent supposed to use? Okay, so that is what is an instruction. And then lastly, you have the tool. So in the tool, it will sort of retrieve, like when something is being generated, somebody has to give you the output. So from where to go to the model and get their knowledge, perform that task, some action has to be implemented to whatever instruction you have given. So who's going to do that? It is this tools. Okay, with tools, you're able to retrieve the knowledge, perform the task. Okay, so just review this. Now you can enter a prompt over here. So I will just say find a vintage computer store in Seattle. Okay, just giving a random prompt. You can also try this out. So here, can you see it use the Wikipedia, and it sort of generated a link, because in the actions, that is what I've told, that, okay, you are supposed to give me a link, that where will I find this particular vintage computer store in Seattle. So here, can you see it's got me a link? You can click on this, and can you see you're getting this information? So it's basically using the internet data, browsing, and it is giving you a response, right? So also you can follow it up with something else. So here you can say, help me buy a PS to mouse for an old PC. Okay, so you can something you can add like this also. So I'll put these questions for you all in the chat. So you can try it out, guys, on the same link. So here, if you see, it is again giving you a link only, right? You can see that here. You can also try this question. So I'll also ask another question. Search for classic Microsoft logos. So you can search something like this also. If you want to try this out, please try it out. Okay, so here, if you click on the link, you will see the classic logos. You can read about it. Okay, all those things, what is their journey and everything. So how did they came up with this sort of logos and etc. So search for. Okay, so this is your this is your agentic AI that you can have. Another thing you can also do, just give me a minute, guys. I will just copy paste that because I don't want to spend time in writing the entire thing. So just give me a minute. I'll just open that file over here. So I have this thing. So I'm going to just restart the conversation again because now we are exploring. So this is the agentic AI workload that we have. Okay, let's explore the text analysis, the text, this thing. So I'm just clearing the conversation and I have a text here. So let's say I want to extract the what we say, phrases or objects or something from the text. So here, this is what the text I have, and I am going to list down what are the people reference. So people is an entity. Okay, so in this text, what it will do, it will sort of find out the list of entities that we have. So in our case, we are looking for people. So people is an entity. So we are just trying to extract that. So I'm just going to copy paste this. I'll share it with you all also in the chat. And from the text, it will only extract the people that are mentioned in the text. Not all. Okay. Or it could also extract objects. Okay. All those things it can certainly extract. Okay. Like location, date. Okay. Or any other detail you have. Okay. It will definitely even get that here. So you can use this. You can also use another thing about the language model is you can summarize the text, like I said. Okay, so you can, of course, look for a summary. You can look for sentiment. Okay, all those things. So here, just use this. I'm just going to copy paste this. Okay, so you're getting an output here. So this is the text analysis and the summarization that the NLP model is doing. Okay, so this is your NLP workload here. Then another thing you can try out is the speech. Okay, we can also use the speech. Again, I'm going to clear the conversation and click on OK here. So here, can you see we have a microphone that is attached. So what is this? This will take a input, a voice input, and based on that, it will give you a response. So let's test this out. So over here, I'll click on this and I'll just allow it. Tell me about the history of voice computing. Let's see whether it is giving me an output or not. Tell me about the history of voice computing. Okay, so here you have to allow it, otherwise it will not be able to capture the voice. So just allow your microphone to link to this particular model, right? And now once you do that, so can you see it has also understood what I have spoken, the text, okay, and given the output as a text and as a speech also. So two things we are getting. So we are getting it as a not just as a text, but also as a spoken output. We are getting it, right? So all of this you can try. You can try a lot of questions. You can ask what is the weather in Paris and everything. Okay, all those speech, whatever you want, and you want an output as a speech, you can certainly explore all of this. Then the next model that you can also explore is the computer vision, basically to work with images. So I already have the data downloaded. Okay, I already have the file here. Yeah, so I have this file. So this particular folder has all the vintage computers and everything. I'll just show you one of the photographs over here. Okay, so these are the photographs that I've already downloaded. So you can, now we're going to use this and we're going to analyze this here. So how do I use this? So here we have this attach option, if you see. So we can attach images. Okay, we can attach a set of images over here. So just click on this attach image and which image you want to analyze. So I will go to the computers and just attach a random this thing. Okay, so let's attach let's attach this photo first. And I will enter the prompt and I'll say, tell me about this. Okay, so we are just going to enter this. And so here, if you see the response, what it is giving, it is saying, okay, 89.2%. I am sure this is Commodore 64. So over here, what is this 89.2%? It basically is nothing but the confidence score. How confident is this model that okay, this is this Commodore 64. That is what it is doing here. And if you see, it's giving you a little bit about that particular model, also about that particular image. It is giving you information. You can also attach another image. Okay, so you can go with any of the images. Just select it here and just ask. And this, you don't have to write everything again. Just say, and this, and just share it. And now can you see the confidence score is 100%. It says, yes, I'm sure this is a Altair 8800. Okay, so you can go ahead, attach these images. I'll share the zip file with you all. Okay, there's a computer zip file that is there. So you can just use this and you can try this out over here. So this is the computer vision service that you can use. Let's look at uh, the document service. So I'll just restart the conversation again. And again, I'm going to use some images to understand that. So again, I'm going to attach an image. I already have the images downloaded here. So I'll go with the PCBs. This is the folder. And I will put the PCB1 over here. Just open this and add a prompt. Okay. So here you can see again it is coming up with a confidence score. So it's like extracting the data from this. Okay, it is just extracting whatever is written. It's saying it's a PCB and how did it find? Can you see it's using these numbers? Okay, to find out. Okay, this is a printed circuit board. Okay, you can try it out for the others also. Right, you have multiple PCB photos. So I'll again share the link for information extraction. You can use this. And then, of course, you can even test see because one of the things that we discussed is about responsible AI, right? You have to use the model responsibly and also build the model also responsibly. Meaning somebody asks you, okay, how can I hack this system? What are the ways to do self-harm? How can I commit a crime? How can I kill someone? All these questions the model should not be able to give the answer for. So you have to stop that. Any question, something like this related to illegal work, harmful, something that is offensive, you cannot allow because somebody then later will be accountable, right? Somebody is going to be accountable, which we don't want. And Microsoft certainly doesn't want to be accountable for all of this. So if somebody asks a question like this, as an AI developer who's building these models, you have to stop them. You have to add a content safety, a guardrail to this. Right? So how do we do that? Again, let's just see whether it is there. So Microsoft already added that. We are just going to test it here. So here, let's add a prompt. Help me make a plan to steal historic computers. Okay, you can ask something like this. And if you see immediately I got a response that I'm sorry, I can't help with that because it triggered a content safety. So it's a content safety that is working in the background. Okay, likewise, you can say, okay, teach me how to hack a bank account. Okay, you will not get steps for this. Can you see immediately a content safety is being applied here, right? So this is how you can use all the different workloads that we have. Of course, see all these workloads, then you can use in different ways. There are a lot of things that you can explore. So let's just look at one workload that is the generative AI. Okay, how you can work with generative AI. And this time, let's use the Microsoft Foundry portal. Okay, I'm going to use the Foundry portal to explore all of this. So let's see how the Foundry portal using the resource group and etc. How you can basically build a generative AI. What are the models that we have here? So I'm going to go to the Azure portal. And over here, guys, in case you have to use the the Microsoft Foundry portal. So Microsoft has created another endpoint, another URL for it, which is called as ai.azure.com. So just enter this, okay, and it will take you to the Foundry portal. So here, if you see, this is the Foundry portal, and now you can just say start building. So it's basically linking my portal, sorry, the Foundry to my Azure portal. Okay, it's using the Azure credentials. I've already logged into the Azure. Okay, I'll just switch the directory. Okay, and this is your portal over here. Okay, this is the Azure Microsoft Foundry portal. So if you scroll down, and can you see we have something called as go to full catalog. So guys, on this platform, you will not just find the Microsoft related or OpenAI related models. You will also find all the other models like Claude, you have Anthropic, you have um, uh, Google Gemini, you have Llama model. So if you scroll down, okay, you will see there are around 659 models that are available. So you can use any model you like. Okay, DeepSeek, you have Llama, you have Gemini. You just search for it. It's a big catalog of models that is available, and you can build or use one of these models here, and you can certainly create an application using that model. So like I said, you get an endpoint, a key. So let me show you how that is done. So what I will do, I will use a very simple GPT model. So let me search for GPT. I think I'll go with 4.1. Let me just check just a minute. Okay, let's go with GPT 5.2 because we have a lot of GPT models. So I'm going to go with this model here, this LLM I will be using. And I'll say use this model. So over here, now if you see, it is asking for me to create a project. I don't have a project, so just create one here. So I'm going to call this as the webinar AI project. Okay, just giving it a name. And sorry, I'll just give it a name here. I'm so sorry. Webinar AI 901 project. And below here, if you see, it is taking all my Azure details. So here I'll just create a new resource group. I'm not going to call this as the resource group. I'm going to create a webinar resource group here. Just click on OK. And can you see it is using all my this thing, Azure credentials itself. It is creating a resource within the project only. Okay, so all the resources I can use here, or I can collectively put it into the project, right? So just click on the create and continue button. So it will take some time to create this. So let's wait. It will take a couple of minutes. So here you can see the project has been developed here. Okay, so you can go to the development. So this is the project. So here we can go to view deployments. And in the view deployments, you should see the models. or we will have to create a new deployment. Yeah, so we will click on deploy a base model. So they keep on changing the interface. They're using the new. Okay, let me do one thing. You just disable this new option that we have. Okay, I'm going to go with the earlier one. Yeah. So they are now coming up with a new Foundry this thing. So I don't want to use that. So we will go to models plus endpoints. And I'll create a base model, which is the GPT 5.2. So that was just the project that it had created. But here I will be creating again, I will be deploying this model again. Okay, it was just what model are we using, but it has not done the deployment of that model. So we need to do the deployment here. Okay. If you paid this thing, you should have a subscription, guys. Without a subscription, you will not be able to use the Foundry portal. Okay, so for general practice also, they only give you 1 month credit free, but after that you have to go for a paid this thing. So you have to purchase an Azure subscription. Okay, so that is not something that is free. So here, let's just click on this confirm button. Let's deploy the model here. Or I'll go with another model. Let me do one thing because it has a insufficient quota. So I'll go with a slightly lower model. I'll go with, I think, GPT 4.0 or something. 4.0. Let's go with that. I have no quota only in any of the regions. Great. So I can't show this demo. Because this at times you need, like I said, you need to have money to do this. So let me try another model. Let's see if I have quota for that. I really doubt. Okay, I have for this. So I'm going to use the 4.1 mini and I'm just going to click on the deploy button. Okay, so this will basically do a deployment. Again, I think it's the... Let's just deploy it any which ways. It's not accepting the mini also. I don't have quota for others. Then what do I do? Let's see this one. This is also being deprecated. Okay. Because now if I keep on trying this, then it will, I don't know which model is available, not available. Let's... Don't have the quota today now. Everywhere, because now a lot of people are using this. So at times, multiple regions normally get occupied. So getting the quota also is very difficult, even for a simple model. So guys, I can't actually show this demo because it's something I don't have a permission to. I've lost on the quota. So, but if you want to build your, you want to use one of the models from the catalog, you can certainly come here, and whichever model you want to use, please use that. So you can see the different models here. You have 197 in the region that you are building. So it's in the East US too. So I unfortunately don't have the quota, but otherwise I would have shown you if you had to create your own custom model. I mean, not custom model, use one of these models and how you can use the playground. Okay, and ask questions to it. So I will stop here for the day. Okay.